unbelievable alien abductions. We're fascinated by the idea of extraterrestrial life. Now, scientists have found the strongest evidence yet.
The discovery. For decades, alien abduction stories had lingered on the fringes of culture, entertaining skeptics and believers alike. People laughed at grainy photos of flying saucers, shuddered at tales of missing time, and speculated about strange lights in rural skies. But in late August of this year, those fringe whispers collided head-on with the mainstream of science. Inside NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center, alarms lit up in control rooms as the James Webb Space Telescope, orbiting 1 million miles from Earth, returned data unlike anything its instruments were meant to capture. Webb had been designed to gaze into the past, peering at ancient galaxies, mapping the faint glow of stars born billions of years ago. Yet its gaze, turned toward a relatively nearby sector of space only 124 light-years away, stumbled upon something far closer and infinitely more dangerous. At first, the anomaly was subtle. A faint distortion, a stutter in the spectrum of starlight. Analysts flagged it as possible interference. But interference does not persist frame after frame. By the second day of observation, the object revealed itself, dark, irregular, and vast, slipping through the background like a ghostly silhouette. Its surface reflected almost nothing, a jagged mass that devoured light. What little infrared Webb's instruments did capture suggested a body unlike any asteroid or comet on record. Its path, too, was wrong. Orbital mechanics dictate elegance, ellipses, parabolas, trajectories guided by gravity's ancient hand. But this thing, this intruder, wobbled unpredictably, tumbling chaotically, as though forces within it shifted its course. And worst of all, its projected arc pointed disturbingly close to Earth. The red alert. When the calculations were confirmed, NASA issued a red alert, the first in decades. Red alert was not routine. It was reserved for events with potentially global consequences. Within hours, secure channels crackled across Washington, Moscow, Brussels, and Beijing. Few words were exchanged, only raw data, sealed reports, and a chilling truth. Something massive was on approach, and Earth had no ready defense. Supercomputers churned through simulations at breakneck speed. The object size estimates placed it between 5 and 12 kilometers in diameter, easily in the class of impactors capable of reshaping the biosphere. For perspective, the asteroid that ended the age of dinosaurs was roughly 10 kilometers wide. This was no minor strike, no Tunguska airburst flattening forests. This was potentially extinction scale. And yet, the threat was made worse by its strangeness. Spectroscopic analysis revealed traces of exotic elements, rare heavy metals not common to near-Earth asteroids. Its density appeared higher than any typical comet nucleus, but its outgassing suggested volatile ices sublimating beneath its jagged crust. It was both comet and asteroid, yet neither. If interstellar, as some astronomers whispered, it carried the chemistry of alien stars. That possibility alone was staggering. This object might not only endanger Earth but also represent the most extraordinary scientific discovery in human history. Secrecy and doubt. Inside dim conference rooms, debates raged. Do we tell the public? Do we risk panic without answers? Silence might buy days, maybe weeks. But secrecy was fragile. Observatories worldwide had already been notified through automated alerts. By the time amateur astronomers pointed telescopes skyward, the secret would be gone. The question was not whether the truth would emerge, but how and when. Still, governments hesitated. What do you say when you don't know if the end is coming? Do you reassure? Do you confess uncertainty? Or do you prepare for chaos? Behind closed doors, presidents and prime ministers demanded answers their scientists could not yet give. Was it definitely going to hit? Could it miss? How long did we have? The replies were infuriatingly vague. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. Meanwhile, analysts paused every frame from Webb. Each refinement of the trajectory tightened the margins. Error bars shrank. Possibilities narrowed. And the words no one wanted to say out loud grew harder to suppress. Collision course. The world reacts. When news inevitably leaked, first on obscure astronomy forums, Then on social media, the story spread like wildfire. Grainy screenshots of orbital plots circulated alongside hashtags like #RedAlert and #WebWarning. Within hours, cable news networks broke into regular programming. Anchors, their voices tight with unease, reported that a large object had been detected approaching Earth. Officials confirmed little, but silence spoke louder than denial. The world reacted in layers. Some scoffed, calling it hysteria, another Y2K, another overblown scare. Others panicked, flooding supermarkets, withdrawing cash, clinging to families. Religious leaders called for prayer. Scientists appeared on television, their faces pale, explaining probabilities and impact windows in language stripped of comfort. Memes, conspiracy theories, and doomsday prophecies exploded online. Civilization itself felt unsteady, as if the very ground beneath humanity had shifted. And yet, amid the fear, there was also awe. For centuries, humans had gazed at the sky with wonder, imagining stories in the stars. Now the sky gazed back, indifferent, carrying a harbinger of destruction. The universe, once source of inspiration, revealed its merciless side. The implications. Beyond survival, the discovery posed questions deeper than science. If the object was interstellar, had it traveled for millions of years to arrive here, guided only by chance? Or was it something more? A fragment from an alien system, a relic of another world? Even, some whispered, evidence of engineering. Its irregular tumbling, its unnatural density, its chaotic venting, all could be natural. But could all also be signs of something else? No one dared voice the word artificial, but the thought lingered, unspoken, in the corridors of power. For NASA, ESA, Roscosmos, and every observatory aligned against the void, the object was more than a rock. It was a mirror, forcing humanity to confront its fragility. Earth's defenses, still experimental and primitive, were not ready. DART had proven that asteroids could be nudged, but not ones this large, not ones this fast. There was no weapon, no shield, no fleet of rockets that could guarantee salvation. Humanity's only ally was time, and even that was slipping. The countdown. And so, the world entered a new kind of waiting. Every update from Webb became headline news. Every trajectory refinement was dissected by analysts and debated in cafes. The object loomed larger, not yet visible to the naked eye, but growing closer with every passing day. The countdown was no longer theoretical. It was measured in orbital mechanics, in the inexorable ticking of the cosmos itself. Scientists called it the most profound discovery in history. Ordinary people called it the end of the world. But all agreed on one truth. Earth was no longer merely a spectator in the universe. It was a target, and humanity had been given front-row seats to the abyss. This irregular shape would account for its shifting course as sunlight and outgassing nudged it unpredictably, every volatile puff altering its momentum in ways no model could perfectly capture, turning what should have been a calculable trajectory into a nightmare of uncertainty. And yet the irregularity itself carried a darker implication. For such instability made the risk of fragmentation high, and fragmentation was no salvation. Only another form of horror, for while a single intact strike might devastate one region, multiple fragments could rain fire across continents, each fragment carrying the kinetic energy of cities in ruins, igniting tsunamis in oceans, wildfires across plains, shockwaves across mountain ranges, until the sky itself darkened under the ash of impact. And as scientists absorbed these findings, they found themselves staring not merely at physics but at mystery. For spectroscopic readings revealed compounds unknown in terrestrial or even catalogued celestial chemistry, metallic elements resisting classification, flickering faintly in Webb scans as though whispering of processes foreign to Earth's periodic table, and some dared to suggest that it was not a comet at all but an exotic remnant of stellar fusion, a shard born in the collapsing heart of a supernova, hurled into interstellar exile for billions of years until cruel fate set it on collision course with Earth, which meant that humanity was not simply facing a rock but a fragment of cosmic history, a relic forged in violence that now threatened to return violence to its unwilling host. And the irony stung like a cosmic joke, that in the very moment of humanity's greatest scientific triumph, when we had finally built an instrument capable of peering back to the birth of galaxies, that same instrument had delivered not only knowledge but a sentence, revealing a relic of unimaginable age and beauty whose arrival might erase the fragile story of our world. And so debates began to fracture within NASA and beyond, where all collided with terror, where the desire to study clashed against the imperative to survive, where the joy of discovery soured into the weight of responsibility. And in this shift, the very language of science transformed, for engineers who had spent their lives dreaming of exploration now found themselves conscripted as guardians of Earth, their vocabulary shedding the romance of curiosity for the stark utility of defense, speaking not of spectroscopic bands and cosmic background, but of impact zones, mass extinction thresholds, and time windows. And the Webb Telescope, once hailed as a time machine into the ancient universe, became a sentinel whose golden mirrors now reflected the approach of annihilation, each new image no longer just a glimpse into the deep past, but a frame and a countdown toward an unthinkable future. While ground observatories across the world, Chile's Atacama, Hawaii's Mauna Kea, the Canary Islands peaks, confirmed Webb's alarm, locking onto the intruder with every wavelength they could muster, their instruments revealing jagged edges that caught sunlight only to vanish again into shadow, its irregular spin painting a flickering phantom across the heavens, like a ghostly star wandering where no star should be. And whispers began to trickle from amateur astronomers who scoured open sky maps, claiming to glimpse a dark intruder moving against familiar constellations, while official agencies hesitated, weighing truth against stability, knowing that silence would not hold forever. For data leaks faster than secrecy, and the greatest fear was not only the object itself but the time. For orbital mechanics, once the most precise of sciences, was undone by this object's chaos, its irregular spin, its unpredictable jets, its light-swallowing surface, which meant every projection carried error bars so wide as to be nearly meaningless, with some models showing near misses, others continental strikes, others oceanic detonations whose tsunamis would ripple around the world. And each scenario was catastrophic in its own way, leaving the brightest minds of the planet staring into supercomputers that spat out probabilities but no salvation. And still the Webb fed them data, a relentless stream of truth they could neither outrun nor soften. And so a strange dual reality emerged, where within encrypted forums, academic back channels, and mission control rooms the truth was known and carried like an unbearable weight, while the rest of the world lived in ignorance, shopping and working and laughing beneath a sky that now carried death. And for those who knew, it was like standing on a beach and seeing a tsunami far offshore while the crowds around you basked in the sun, and the burden of foreknowledge hollowed them, haunted them. And yet within the dread there remained, or that such a relic had been caught at all, or that Webb's delicate mirrors had spotted what no other instrument could, or that in its brief time the telescope had not only unveiled galaxies billions of years old, but also had given humanity a warning, a gift of time, however narrow, a cruel mercy in which the blessing of sight came shackled with the curse of knowledge. For now every night sky was a reminder that survival was not written in the stars but contested against them, and as governments argued in shadowed chambers about disclosure, as militaries modeled evacuations they knew could never be adequate, as philosophers and theologians debated meaning in the face of oblivion, one truth grew sharper than all the rest. The object was still coming, its path not negotiable, its ancient mass not merciful, its silence not forgiving. And though it carried secrets older than I've, it might erase the only story of life the cosmos had ever written, leaving behind nothing but silence, as if the universe itself were reclaiming the dust from which we came. A reminder that our fragile, blue world is not the center of the cosmos but a brief flicker in its darkness. And now, under Webb's unblinking gaze, that darkness was rushing nearer with every passing hour.